In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis.
The $50 million that they took, most of that's in addition to the $250 million that's commonly cited as the total loss amount in this case. So the total loss in this case is well in excess of $300 million.
At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future.
People in this case not only took tens of millions of dollars, but laundered much of it abroad and sent much of it to Kenya, among other things. They were building an entire apartment building in Nairobi.
So we usually send money back home to the less fortunate.
So up there they have money place you can send back.
Right.
Feds can't get back the cash Farah sent or the property he bought in Kenya. Sentencing hearing, Farah apologized for trying to bribe one of his jurors, saying he panicked, but he said nothing of his role in the fraud scheme.
The sense I got was he's sorry he got caught.
How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion.
Kenya is changing at a pace that appears on the surface to signal growth and prosperity. Skylines are rising, gated estates are spreading across cities, and luxury developments are appearing in places once considered peripheral. From Nairobi's westlands and Kilimani to the beaches of Mombasa and Diani to the fast-growing urban centers of Nakuru and Kisumu, money is clearly at work. Yet, beneath this construction boom lies an increasingly uncomfortable question, one that investigators, journalists, and financial analysts are beginning to ask more openly. Where is some of this money coming from?
They don't see what they're doing as stealing. They see it as helping family and helping the bloodline. And so if there's this alien, weak system that is dishing out money, if you don't take it, you're stupid.
And why the scrutiny seems so limited? The origins of this question are not speculative. In the United States, federal prosecutors have uncovered some of the largest fraud schemes in modern American history, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Court indictments describe how hundreds of millions of dollars meant for emergency food programs and public welfare were allegedly siphoned off through fake non-profits and shell entities. These cases are real, documented, and ongoing within the U.S. justice system.
Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testifying that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled.
And I would see these child care centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. Where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger. Never, ever once.
As the ringleader in a group that stole nearly $50 million and the mastermind behind the plot to bribe a juror in his trial, 36-year-old Abdiaziz Farah is one of the most prolific fraudsters in the Feeding Our Future case.
Across Kenya's major cities, investigators and journalists have observed a curious pattern. High-value properties registered to little-known companies or individuals, luxury apartments standing largely unoccupied, and developments that seem disconnected from local economic realities. These observations alone do not prove criminality. However, when viewed alongside international indictments alleging overseas asset purchases using fraud proceeds, they demand scrutiny. Why Kenya? Financial crime experts point to several structural vulnerabilities. The country has a sophisticated banking system, but uneven enforcement of anti-money laundering laws. Beneficial ownership of property is often opaque. Real estate transactions can involve large cash payments and third-party proxies. Once funds are transformed into land or buildings, tracing their origins becomes exponentially more difficult. Concrete, steel, and title deeds can launder reputations as effectively as they launder money. As investigators followed the money trail, they did not stop at US borders. According to federal court filings, portions of the alleged proceeds were moved abroad. Kenya appears repeatedly in these investigations.
People in this case not only took tens of millions of dollars, but laundered much of it abroad and sent much of it to Kenya, among other things. They were building an entire apartment building in Nairobi.
Not as a destination for aid or charity, but as a location where money could be converted into assets, particularly real estate. These claims are allegations contained in indictments, not verdicts, but they raise questions Kenya has yet to answer publicly in a meaningful way.
Yes. How they steal it through tenders, contracts, and funny ways of obtaining the money from the government systems. Then once they have this money, they don't actually have it in cash where they are. This money is always transferred to shell companies. A shell company is a company where the directors are proxies to this main man. So like for example, I can have my grandmother, the CR12.
Okay.
Or I can have a girlfriend from Dubai on my CR12. So and then the girlfriend, the company is paid as for services that they did in Kenya. But actually there's no service done.
Kenya's economic future depends not only on attracting capital, but on ensuring that capital is clean. Nations do not lose their standing overnight. They lose it gradually through tolerated opacity and selective enforcement.
And also the assumption is we are not the only ones who would be doing such a thing. All smart people would be doing that.
Money may cross borders faster than justice, but it always leaves footprints. The question is whether Kenya is willing to follow them. What remains are unanswered questions. If the funds entering Kenya are legitimate, transparency should resolve the issue.
These high rises are the result of our team's combined efforts to change the area.
Easily, the structure, what makes this thing to grow very fast is people of Slee, wherever they are, whether in UK or America or Canada or everywhere, all over the world, they pool funds together. They bring money together, then they construct. Nobody does that building alone. I think maybe if we say one or two, we cannot say 2, 3. But most of the time, they do what is called partnership and trust.
If assets were purchased lawfully, audits would confirm it. If institutions are enforcing the law, evidence of that enforcement should be visible. Silence, however, invites speculation, erodes trust, and damages national credibility.
I've worked in it for 46 years.
How has it changed?
Just different immigrants.
So a lot of Somalis live here?
Yes. In fact, I think it's one of the largest populations in the cities. Yes, I think they do kind of stick to themselves, but I have a bunch of them that work under me and they're pretty social.
It is critical to state clearly what this discussion is not about. It is not an indictment of Somali communities in Kenya, the United States, or elsewhere. Millions of Somali-origin individuals are law-abiding citizens, refugees, professionals, and entrepreneurs. Collective blame is both inaccurate and unjust. Financial crime is conducted by networks, not communities. Precision matters, legally, ethically, and intellectually.
Some of the first ones came here, and I know it's a money issue, but they're walking around in sandals in the winter, and you're just going, oh my God. But they came here. Once they got established here, then they follow each other.
This Omar Fateh, who's running for mayor, do you have an opinion on him?
Not a real positive one, but...
You like Jacob Fry?
Better than I like Omar.